Emergency, emergency, you never see me coming through. I told you before, Bakali, listen. Emergency, emergency, you never see me coming through.
Okay, 15 minutes past 1 from the studios of Adaba 88.9 FM. And it's Friday. We're here. This is not PLF, yeah? Jumuke?
Rebranded.
Is it rebranded we're going to use?
Let's just say rebranded.
Rebranded. Okay, so this for us, we decided to bring this to you. Of course, we're not throwing away PLF. We are saying that this is the Friday show, and we're definitely going to talk about everything. Including PLF. So PLF is in. Yes, PLF is in.
I'm saying rebranded.
Yes,
now.
Yes. So it's still like the same voice you hear. My name is Moni Kola Ogidon, and of course Jumoke is here.
My name is Olajumoke Motosho. You said my name halfway.
T-Code. We call him the long man. Jumoke is the game master.
So.
Yeah. Jumoke is the game master. T-Code, the long man.
Wait, it's not the long man. Don't dash me.
What's your Christian
long
it's
man?
Actually, the comic radio voice.
And AY. Ayo Adeke. It's good to have a full house. And let me start with Ayo. How you doing?
I'm fine. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It's going to be a lovely ride today.
Yeah. So I know that for a while now, it's not been there's not been anything so much trending online. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for but let's know. Is there any entertainment gist that we need to know before we get into the NSAS stuff?
Well, every gist you get now has something to do with NSAS. Around sometime yesterday, around the evening, there was this post by Ricardo Banks who was telling us about a new song he had with Wizkid. So he was like, guys, a new song is coming up with my brother Wizkid, and he dropped the tweet. And the next thing we saw was Wizkid, Starboy, coming up to say that he shouldn't drop this now. This is insensitive and all of that. He called him a fool.
Yeah.
And later he came back to call him a cloud chaser.
Cloud animal.
Cloud animal. That was the word he used. So a lot of reaction. People felt like that was too harsh. Although what Ricardo did was insensitive, quote and unquote.
Talking about this time.
Yes.
You can't really say it's insensitive. Are we not having other music artists dropping songs? The fact that
maybe they were doing that behind a closed door.
Somebody like Olamide, he dropped his album some days before the protest, and Olamide decided not to say anything about his album.
So
Wizkid pushed his own album release because of
but
this.
It doesn't mean that yes, there's NSAS. Does that mean that consequentially nobody should release? Black Bones dropped BBC and a few other releases that I can they're very few anyway. But I'm just saying that even if he drops it, is he Wizkid's? Well,
maybe to other people reading the street and people feeling that at this time it's not about music, it's not about album,
it's about the struggle.
It's about the struggle. Now a few minutes ago Files just backed out from the virtual meeting with the FG. Just
the town hall
meeting, and he said he was given the wrong information, so hence he's not participating on the He's not interested in the town hall meeting, so he has backed down.
So right now, everybody should just focus on. I'm not saying that we shouldn't focus on NSAS, but you shouldn't also disrupt. If people have intentions, to do whatever they want to do.
So now we are thinking, what happened after NSAS?
Oh no, but basically, I think it's important to also know. For example, we are in Ondo State, so it's important to also know what is the protest in Ondo State about. Okay, so we hope, or we are still hoping to have one of those on the front line of the protest in Ondo State, that's Benga Dine on the show.
Okay.
To tell us exactly what the protest is about, what the agitations are, and but basically that's what is trending everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
I'm not sure I can see the same for Instagram though, because if you check Instagram,
well, of course there are other pictures, but the placards, people have decided to,
and some
if
people are not
wear clothes, customize.
It's a movement, a whole movement.
Yeah. Some people are not coming out to march, but some of them are providing logistics for.
Exactly. And we have Twitter protesters too.
Yeah. Yes.
Online protesters.
Yes. They are not coming out physically, but they are doing great work.
Okay. But we must also commend the Nigerian youth for their resilience. I think this is the first time I'm seeing
like what's it called? Temidayo said is to uphold the honor of his land and for generations to come. So that's why he's participating in the march.
Yeah.
Temidayo?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I'm quite optimistic about the future of the country. I was still telling someone today that if we can have youths come together and speak with one voice like this and we sustain the momentum, that means that Nigeria can be better in the future.
Sustaining the momentum, that's like another aspect that the older generation fear, that will this momentum be sustained? Would we have that point? We would get to that point where we won't back down, or we won't
we'll cash out.
Now I understand. So the other generation are scared of this coming generation, that they're not ready to drop. They can't be there forever. They should understand that. My fear is just that we would be genuine enough with this call, and we wouldn't have people that would spoil the whole thing and hijack it for political reasons.
If you follow the protests, you would see that it's beyond just rising up to condemn something. A lot of people misplace their phones, and somehow somebody calls you and says, I saw your phone somewhere. So there's this attitude that's different from the general Nigerian attitude we know. So there's a new Nigeria somewhere.
We're defining it.
Yes.
You see protesters going to clean up the streets after
eating. Yes. People bringing food for other people.
Even the thugs that were being
chased away yesterday.
When they caught some of them, they took them to the hospital, took care of them, gave them food.
They dealt with them first though.
Okay, so let's turn our attention now to Benga Dine. We know that the in thing now everywhere, discussion, even old people, they just know answers, and then it's amazing to know that this protest is also not like it has kicked off. Not like it's kicking off. It has already kicked off in Ondo State. And Benga Dine, let me quickly do a quick introduction. Is an architect, a social entrepreneur, and of course one of those on the front lines of
an activist.
So the question I want to ask is, I hope it's not like we just heard that people are protesting and then we just decided to protest without having a goal for this protest. One. Then the other question I want to know is, where is this protest leading us to? Do we get at every point in time, because I know that for this whole week there's been protests, gathering of people at one point or the other. Do we get people to address the gathering? Is there something you're looking for at the end of this protest?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and sorry I'm a bit late. I'm just coming in from Ondo. So the thing is, number one, it's not about people protesting and everybody just coming out that let us protest. No, as a matter of fact, it's because people, let's say innocent people know nothing about any incident at all. Policeman can just come from anywhere and harass you. So the anger is there. Policeman can just walk up to anybody for no reason at all. I just be like, look at you. You look like one of these fraudsters, and just take money from them. Honestly, I've not been a victim of police brutality before, but then must I wait before I become a victim before I come out? So the thing is, people are just coming out together that, okay, let's address this issue, let's reform police once and for all. And the reality of it is, when we shouted NSAS, okay, and now the IG said that, okay, now it is over with NSAS, and there's this before even SWAT, we were we need to agitate with. We were telling people that we need the president to address the nation. The youth cannot be. So it's okay. The youth cannot be shouting that we need you to talk to us and you just keep quiet. After the NSAS, we made sure that the president addressed the nation, and of course, even after addressing the nation, so I getting calls from people that Benga, now the president has addressed the nation. Now they have disbanded SARS. So why should you people continue to protest? I told them that number one, this is not just about NSAS. In Yoruba, they used to say you understand that this trend of thing is not just about NSAS only. As a matter of fact, people that will just abuse you, people use police to intimidate other people, and it's not just about SARS. So we are saying let us reform the entire police force. You understand? Okay. So, and there are a lot of agitation there, but if you ask me, I think now that we have NSAS, it's about people asking for good governance now. It's about
so that's why you're still on the streets.
Yes.
Okay, but the other part of the question is, are we getting anybody to address, or the protest kicks off from one place and you're going somewhere? Do you get to a place where you want an address, you want somebody to talk to you, or how has it been? I'll speak about the one on Tuesday particularly, because I was very much involved with the one of Tuesday. So it took over 3 different locations, and of course we had people that led us, that addressed us, for proper coordination, and I think that's why it has been very peaceful so far, so good. I know of Tuesday very well, because as a matter of fact, protesters were at the SIB State Police Headquarters. So it has been. Was there an address? Did anybody? No. They locked their gates. They locked their gates, so they didn't allow anybody to even. Has any government official come out to? No. It's so funny. That's why when the IG said that it is over for SARS, people did not believe because they want the president to confirm that. Okay. And it's happening in different parts of the country. I've seen Wiki addressed the states, rivers. Yeah, so but then in those states, it's just like nothing is happening here. Nobody's taking anybody serious.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Don't you think some politicians will hide under this to hijack this protest?
I wrote let me say something on Tuesday, a day before that will be Monday, that we don't need any politician to come hijack this. We, as a matter of fact, I wrote something that if we don't even need anybody to come and make political statements, just address the issue.
They might come in a more subtle way, maybe providing food, providing water. And the next thing is
the politicians we're talking about are Nigerians too.
They might want to hijack this. Political parties. This political party might come out and want to attack the other one. So go through protesters to do that.
As a matter of fact, I when I wrote that on Monday, when I wrote let me say something on Monday that like a circular on Monday that we don't need politicians, we don't need anybody to hijack this. And if anybody wants to be a tool for any politician, we are going to beat you. Ourselves will beat you very well. We'll make sure we deal with you. Because we won't want us to actually embarrass us or rubbish the narrative that we are creating. This is not just about one person.
Talking about good governance, something happened in Kano today. Some youth beat up a House of Rep member. They said for over non-performance and failed promises, so they beat him up.
The same youth gathering in the process.
In Kano today.
Ayo, do you have any question before we let him go?
I would like to comment on youth beating up people. I would say that is violence. We are saying we are protesting peacefully. We don't want violence. So if you beat up somebody, that's still violence. So let's
ensure that
there's no violence whatsoever. However, my own observation is, from this protest, I've seen that this thing is not really, it's about the youth, but then it's more about the police. Because police themselves, they are like the most underfunded in all of the civil service hierarchy. So we need to enlighten them to make them know that.
Did you see the video that Files the Bad Guy released?
I saw that video, but before that, I was following what's his name now? Shewon Kimbaloe's show. He was talking to one former assistant inspector of police. He said when he was a commissioner, they gave him 2.5 million for a quota to take care of the whole of the stations under him and the barracks. 2.5 million. He said they gave him 250,000 naira to take care of all of the vehicles, and as at that time he had 110 vehicles and he had to fuel all of them. So as I was speaking, I picked up my phone, I did the calculation. 250,000 for a quarter, that's 3 months. That's 2,000 per vehicle. So you're supposed to use 2,000 naira fuel for a vehicle for 3 months. How do you sustain that? So if you call the police and they tell you there's no fuel, they're not actually lying. That's true. So I feel like this on the what will I say, on the funding, the frustration from their boss transferred to these police guys, they transfer to the people on the street.
It's a whole package.
So there's a whole chain. So the police has to know that this thing is for them, and they have to really align with this movement. It's not about anti-police. It's actually for the police.
Okay, so before we let you go, Benga, we want to know what are you expecting at the end of this whole protest? What are you hoping would be the lights at the end of the tunnel?
Okay, for me, I would think we'll have a better Nigerian police force. As a matter of fact, let me say, when it comes to the budget, even the one that the president is trying to present currently, you see that the security take a larger part of the budget. That's just the sincere truth. So nobody can tell me that police is one way or the other on the fund. It's just that the corruption in the system, that means there are some set of people actually taking that money and not giving it back. But then for me, I believe that now that the youth are speaking with one voice, I believe it goes beyond reformed Nigerian police and headsars. I believe that hopefully few months from now, we'll be able to come with one voice to demand for the Nigeria that we deserve. It's going to happen very, very soon.
Amen.
It's going to happen very
soon. So when are you leaving the streets? When are we leaving the streets?
Well, we are leaving the streets when the battle is over. When we finish fighting. Stay with us, you'll be back.
Can't touch this, they can't touch me. They can't do me nothing, only God can judge me. Emi lie me, making my money, waiting I they find again. God don't bless me. Go for plenty, oh necessary. Nothing, no one can change my destiny.
Check it out now. Plenty fly, plenty not, plenty hate, plenty mad, plenty rise, plenty happy, plenty sad, plenty money, plenty style, plenty pretty girls and plenty flights, plenty never gonna see me, plenty tribe, plenty say they love me, now plenty life, plenty enemies, man I can never count, more than 29, yeah, plenty die, plenty things for bad belly, plenty man, plenty dreams, plenty they don't buy, but my plenty sense, you get plenty time to question everything I has, plenty why, and that's why plenty don't wanna see me shine, God bless, plenty dollar signs,
Go for plenty, oh necessary. Nothing, no one can change my destiny.
Plenty stone and plenty kicked us. When we started, plenty dissed us. Plenty Judas, plenty Jesus, plenty called the vultures, they can't deceive us. Plenty titles, plenty Rufus, plenty lies and plenty rumors. Plenty plus and plenty minus, plenty politics, but they can't deny us. Plenty church and plenty mosque, plenty no go believe and plenty must. Plenty idols, plenty gods, but I'm a one in a million with plenty choice. Plenty play, plenty boss, no plenty leader, only plenty boss. Plenty crime, you know they young plenty dust, but they apply pressure and plenty force.
Go for plenty, oh necessary. Nothing, no one can change my destiny.
So we're still here on the Friday show, and we talked about the hashtag NSAS that's been trending for a while now. But we're shifting our focus again to another important issue. And this is also commemorating the International Day of the Girl Child. This particular segment of the program is sponsored for today, is sponsored by the Global Media Campaign. And we are still expecting Jumoke Ogunjebi on the program. She's a lawyer, and we're going to look at that aspect. But Dr. Fayonji is with us on the program this afternoon. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Fayonji.
Thank you very much.
Basically, I have my own question, and I'm sure that my colleagues have their questions as well. But the question I have basically is, why is there, knowing the health implications of female genital mutilation, I hope you know that people still practice it and medicalize it.
Yes, I'm aware.
All right. So why are we still there?
Well, thank you very much for bringing me to the program. Well, I would like to say that female genital mutilation and cutting, as some people may call it, is quite popular in the world. It's a global thing. And of course, it's quite unfortunate that despite all efforts to reduce this scourge, you still have significant numbers of people practicing it, especially in Nigeria. When you look at the spread, we have about 200 million people being mutilated all over the world. And in Africa, we have about 3 million people being mutilated per year. In Nigeria, we have about 20 million. That's 1 out of 10, people being mutilated in the world coming from our country. So there are psychosocial factors and cultural factors that is actually making this to be more in our immediate environment. Of course, legally, I just want to move into that a bit. The president in 2015 actually signed a law that prohibits that. But if states, if they don't domesticate it, it will be default for them to implement such law. But we have few states, like 13 states out of all the states we have.
And Ondo State is one of them.
Yes, Ondo State is one of them. All the Southwest states, they are actually domesticated
the law.
But if that doesn't cut across, we won't have a decentralized approach to reduction of this practice. So that's one of the things I think is causing it. At the same time, enforcing existing laws, if it's not in practice, you understand, people will believe that, okay, I can do it and go away with it. So I believe if laws that has been domesticated is enforced, of course, it will be significantly reduced in our immediate environment.
Question.
All right. I'd like to ask, talking about female genital mutilation, it's something that people hear about, but I think it will go a very long way to talk about the effects of female genital mutilation on the victims themselves, so that people can understand the dangers that are inherent in, engaging in mutilation, as it were.
Yes, I think it's important for us to know what female genital mutilation is per se, of course, before we go into the side effects. Yeah. And the World Health Organization actually described it as partial or total removal, you understand, of the external genitalia of a female, plus or minus injury, you understand? They say hand or injury to the external genitalia for cultural or non-therapeutic purpose, you understand? So now when you look at it, the definition explains itself. By the time you cut a part of the female genitalia that is not for therapeutic purpose, just because it's for cultural purpose, then it would likely have a dire effect on the victim. So then the consequences, it varies, goes a lot, psychologically, physically, medically. I'll just mention some of the medical complications.
Okay.
I'll describe it, I'll divide it into maybe immediate and maybe later. Long term. Then the long term we can say is ups and guiding. The immediate ones, of course, if you cut it, many people that practice, they do it in in the village settings, in traditional birth and things that will do so. The instruments they use, of course, they are not sterile. You understand? They can subject them to infections, hepatitis, HIV, they can bleed at that point because these people, they don't have the knowledge of the female anatomy. So they can cut a vessel and the patient will just bleed to death there. You understand? If they will not even die right there, they will just pack the place and tell the patient to go home. The patient will die back home. You understand? We can have development of scars in the female genital organs. You can have hypertrophied scar, you can have keloids. You understand? We can have abscess. You know, you can, in fact, eventually it can lead to septicemia. You understand? There can be overwhelming infection. That's the focus is from the female genital. When you look at the long-term, of course, consequence of such, you can see. Let's talk about the gynecological consequences of female genital mutilation. You can, when a woman can have what we call this dispareunia, when a woman is having intercourse, superficial one, when you're having intercourse, painful intercourse, that's what we call dispareunia. So that's one of the gynecological consequences of listen, they can have dysmenorrhea. Sometimes when their menses are really painful, it's one of the causes of such. You understand? I won't want to just go. We have many of them. OPS, when we talk about the obstetric complication, you know, it's WHO actually did a study and they realized that the risk of having a cesarean section is associated with a history of female genital mutilation. So the chance of a woman being CCS is good if there's a valid indication for it. But you know, when you can have the grace of not having it naturally, but you're just subjected to it because of the fact that you've had mutilation, being mutilated before, it's not so good. So the way to actually find out that the risk of having a cesarean section is increased with what's it called? History of female genital mutilation. At the same time, obstructed labor and the likes. Female can also have postpartum hemorrhage because of the scar tissue can be bruised again and the person will bleed through it. It can also affect, it can cause neonatal mortality. You know, it also causes stillbirth. You understand? And many other obstetric conditions that may.
Is it true? Is it true that when a woman is caught, she has zero, what's that word? Urge for sex? Like,
Zero
does it alter a sexual urge or a libido? Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's one of the misconceptions people have. You know, we are not. I'm not going to speak hypothetically. We are talking scientifically because there are some studies that actually show that people who pass through mutilation and people who did not pass through it, there was no significant difference between their urge for sex. And at the same time, of course, there's no significant difference from being promiscuous, from the level of promiscuity amongst, of course, between both parties. However, the question you asked about having urge or libido.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that it disturbs the libido, but to a good extent, it can actually affect the pleasure they have during intercourse because they realize that many of them does not reach orgasm compared to people who were not mutilated. And this is one of the rights of women that is being taken away because the women have the right to actually enjoy intercourse as much as their male partner. So you're right, it's one of the reasons why they fight against it because we're taking away our women's right from them in the name of mutilating them.
But for what you have said, some people base their belief on this particular reason that it helps to reduce the promiscuity of women when they actually mutilate them. So you're saying that if you mutilate them or not, it doesn't reduce that level of promiscuity. If you're going to be promiscuous, you're just going to be promiscuous, either they mutilate you or not.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. You know what I said. We can't just make pronouncement based on our assumption. We have to make our pronouncement based on studies, and studies that have done actually show, the WHO actually shows that promiscuity does not have anything to do with mutilating a woman or not. That in fact, the same level of exposure is seen in people who are mutilated and people who are not mutilated. Okay, so that's not a good excuse for.
Sorry, still talking about study. I did a little bit of study yesterday.
Okay.
And from what I saw, I was seeing patriarchy system in relationship with FGM. So how does female genital mutilation accumulate to patriarchy system or trying to bring the woman down to favor the man?
Yes, what we preach, understand, is gender equality. When you look at the SDG, you understand, SDG, the fifth one, actually talks about gender equality. You know what I mean by SDG? So we should try as much as possible to reduce the level of female chauvinism in our immediate environment. You understand?
Chauvinism is a big word. Let's help our listeners to understand.
Okay, to reduce our women, to assume that our women are beneath women. You understand? Because I believe we're one. You understand? So if we assume that, okay, mutilating a woman, that it's right, why not let's say that, okay, the male, the what's it called, male, the nipple, that why not let's be cutting part of it, that male nipple is not supposed to be
for the men, it's not
just because why I have to make such reference is that one of the reasons some people gave was that the clitoris looks masculine. You understand?
Okay.
That's okay. That's one of the reasons. We have multiple reasons, that the clitoris is a little bit masculine, that it has to be removed. You understand? Has to be removed to feminize a woman. You understand? So that's why I'm saying, okay, why not let's say, okay, the nipple looks, you understand, and less
feminine.
Yeah, feminine, and let's reduce it. So things like this, they don't have good reasons. And this issue goes back to 500 years before Christ. You understand? And I think in Egypt when it was reported. So you can imagine people would have come up with all sorts of fancy reasons for doing this. But it's totally wrong. You understand? It's against women's rights. It's dangerous to men, it's dangerous to women. So we should not practice it. Medicalizing it is a factor that we've mentioned here. But you cannot use one aberration to deodorize the other. What I'm trying to say is this. Because Mr. Hay is doing what is wrong, if I help him to do it in a little bit wrong way, maybe I'll be right. No, I'll be wrong. You understand? And in our oath, as a doctor, what they say is that do no harm. You understand? They didn't say reduce harm. You get? So we're told to do no harm. So by the time we are trying to medicalize this, that means we are even encouraging the people in the community. We are allowing them to search people like that. Okay, maybe we can even be doing it. There are countries that have tried this in the world. You understand? And they realize that it doesn't worth it. You understand? Even in the United States, I think in 2010 or thereabout, the American Academic of Pediatric Organization actually suggested that some states can do it, maybe because of migration, and realize some people that have naturalized there want to be performing it because of their culture. They give them the go-ahead. But the Federation of International Gynecology and Obstetrics, actually the president came up and talked against it. You understand? That is not acceptable. And he said, it's wrong to have practiced it in the past, it's wrong to practice it in the present, and it's wrong to practice it in the future. So when such a body like FIGO goes against such, then you know that we are talking about something serious here. I think the Minister of Health in Egypt as well did such error. He made such error, I think, in 1994 thereabout. And he came up with, that people should try to be doing medicalized genital mutilation. But at the end of the day, they realized that despite hiding under the word medicalizing, they still realized there were deaths, you understand, due to this condition. Some people still bled to death. So by the time they actually recorded mortality, they had to stop it. I think a place in Asia as well did something like that in maybe 2010. You understand? They came with a guideline that, okay, this is the guideline for medicalizing female genital mutilation. And FIGO, the body I talked about as well, came again and told them that you cannot medicalize this. You cannot bring out a guideline. Because by the time you bring out a guideline, the doctors who are opposed to this will feel that, okay, since there's a guideline, I can be doing it. You understand? So he went against it. And subsequently, they stopped that. And many of such pockets of cases that we've seen and has been talked against over periods in the past. So there's nothing like medicalizing. It's not acceptable.
Okay. I was going to turn to Jumoke. It's good to have you join us, Jumoke. Oyana.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Jumoke is a lawyer, and we've been talking about the medical aspect since we started this discussion on female genital mutilation. And Dr. Fayonju digressed a little to the legal aspects. I don't know if you were listening to him. He talked about the fact that there's a VAP Act that President Jonathan, came up with in 2015. And at the moment, some states have domesticated the law Ondo State is one of such states. But since I was born, and now I don't think I have heard any case, and I know it's what I know, that people still practice mutilation in Ondo State. What is happening?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. It's been a while anyway. One, female genital mutilation has been an offense under our law since 2001 in Ondo State. The first law we had was the Harmful Traditional Practices Law, 2001, which criminalized the female genital mutilation or female genital cutting, as some people like to call it. Unfortunately, like you said, since that law, and now that the law is very old, we are yet to have someone who has been reported or prosecuted or convicted. No reports. Then
sorry, before you go on, why is that? Why do you think that?
I'll go to that. I want to highlight the law first, then we'll go into why we have so many laws. Like every other law in Nigeria, I think when the statistics started going up that female genital cutting was higher in Nigeria and the incidence was becoming really crazy. Yes, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act was passed in 2015. Ondo State is in the way to domesticate ours. Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law is underway. Incidentally, I was the chairperson of the committee which drafted the law. So we've gotten the State ESCO to approve, and we're looking forward to an approval of the House of Assembly as soon as the House resumes sitting. Now, for the VAP law, it criminalizes female genital mutilation and attempts to commit female genital mutilation and aiding or counseling someone to do female genital mutilation. However, nobody has been reported, partly because of the sentiments attached to or associated, let me use the word, associated with female genital mutilation. It's this way. A stranger will not come to your house to tell you to cut your girl child. It's usually a family member. So you don't get to report your mother or your mother-in-law in a police station for telling you to cut your girl. So usually the perpetrators are known people. It's like the way we have the lower reporting for rape cases, because lots of times the rape perpetrators happen to be people we know, people the victim knows and is very used to. And no matter how painful that crime or offense is, you still can't see yourself reporting this person in the police station, because we have built this sentiment around ourselves while growing up, like this is family, as in no matter what is going wrong, it is family. So once Olori Ebi has attended to the matter, we believe it is the end. In fact, the worst that can happen is you take the person to the palace. However, when it comes to female genital cutting, we all know that the palace is the wrong place to go, because we always talk about culture and all of that. So for me, I think based on statistics too, that we can say beyond sentiment, family bond, we need to start sensitizing people, let them know that female genital mutilation is considered as a harmful traditional practice. So once we give it that baseline, maybe, just maybe, we'll start having people report. I've had experiences of medical personnel telling mothers to come and cut their girl child during vaccination at the General Hospital and some government-owned hospitals. So, but nobody will report these people, partly because, you know, there's this myth attached to motherhood, like, abiyamo, no she, it's not her fault, but I'll be the one to decide. I remember we were on this program probably last year when a man said he was taking his girl in 2 days' time, but now that he has aired the program, he won't take the girl again, and all of that. So we need to do more on sensitization. I think the radio is good. A lot of people listen to radio programs, but we need to really do more. It's beyond medical doctors telling their nurses not to do it. When they run maybe I should borrow paramedical centers in their homes. A lot of nurses have hospitals bigger than even qualified doctors. in their homes where they do these things, mini surgery, minor whatever, and they will tell you it's no big deal. Once the blood dry up, that's the end. The girl will be fine. She will not be a prostitute. But then we have also seen that this has also led to increase in prostitution rates too, because a lot of people who have been caught lack the feelings attached to sexual intercourse. So you get to see a lot of them on the streets. They don't even have feelings for whatever. Just do it. Give them their money, and that is it.
It's just like an activity.
Yes, it is an activity for them. It's got nothing to do with covenant or whatever the religious people have to attach to it. So it's an offense under our law. How do we get people to report? It is by sensitization, letting them know that this is an offense. And as soon as you have someone talk about it, we need to press that person forward to know who is instigating the person one way or the other. And that is how maybe we can start getting people to talk about these things more, to get to report, and then maybe gradually we'll have, at least when there's a scapegoat, I'm sure we'll know where we are going to. But under the proposed Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, whoever is convicted for this offense is going to prison for 4 years, or to pay a fine of 200,000, nothing more than 200,000 naira. So, but then it all depends on report and prosecution.
Okay.
Well, you were saying something that the cutting, but this same mommies, the Yoruba, when a child is wayward, they will say maybe dog has eaten. Like there's a contradiction here now. They'll say, but Ajati, I don't want to use.
Very popular.
She knows what you're saying. She knows what you're talking about.
Now maybe the dog has eaten.
Well, I don't know what she's talking about.
You don't need to know. Jumoke understands.
I don't know what is the relationship between the dog and the cock.
Well, funny enough, I think.
Jumoke, are you sure that's for you or the doctor?
Is the doctor? I'm looking to ask you.
Because
You know, the issue is that there are many things we practice without scientific backup in our environment. There are many things people will say. In fact, when you are consulting, some of the clients will come to you and tell you that, doctor, this is what we do, this is what we do, and you just smile. But you try to at least explain to them, educate them, let them know things they are doing, practices that are wrong. The dog does not have anything to do with a woman's promiscuity. You understand? The dog maybe the dog is just hungry or whatever, just whatever. You understand? But it's not, a woman being promiscuous is not dependent on what the dog has taken. You understand? It's just one of the misconceptions we've had since. Sometimes some people do say something that when they say it over and over again, becomes the truth. But there's no way a lie can ever become the truth. Lies are different and truths are different. So it has nothing to do with that. It's just...
So FGM can never be safe.
It can never be safe. It's terrible. You understand? We have to just preach against it. We are lucky in the state, actually, because my sister was saying something about, sensitizing people. We have a very robust primary health care system, and we have a structure on ground, that goes into the look and craze of our community. You understand? So
because time is not on our side. We really have to go. Honestly, but before I let you go, is there any packaged word you would like to throw out there before we let you go?
Okay, I would just like to tell our listeners at home that female genital mutilation is not acceptable. It's terrible. Nobody should advise you to do it. It's harmful to our women. It's harmful to our children. You understand? It will have dire consequences psychologically and physically. It's breaking homes. It's destroying women's life. It's killing women, and we should not practice such in our environment.
Thank you, Jumoke. Quickly before we go.
Okay, thank you. Female genital mutilation remains an offense. It has no advantage to our children and our women, and it should be stopped. And if you know anyone pressurizing you to do female genital mutilation, kindly make a report at the police station, or you report to the International Federation of Women Lawyers. Anywhere in Ondo State, report to a female lawyer and the case will be taken up. Thank you.
This is deep right. I don't know. This one report your
the last statement, though.
time.
Yeah, I can't report my mother.
Really?
So,
Oh, my
but you can
father.
sensitize your mother and let her know.
That is if the person in question is up to date. If the person knows what
Why should
That's
my
what
mother
all
tell
of the
me what
crime.
to do to my daughter?
Okay, that's another one. That's another one. We have to go. That's all we can take on the show today. Thank you for being a part of it. My own name, Monique Olaugidon.
I'm Tolu Kolade.
Am I your DK?
Well, I'm Olajumoke Motoshada. I would say better to be strong than pretty and useless.
Jumoke
Word.
never goes without giving you something.
That's why she's the
We'll
game
see you
mistress.
next week. Bye-bye.
Over 200 million women and girl child have gone through a form of female genital mutilation, a partial or total removal of the female external genitalia for non-medical reasons.